It was Christmas night, the kind of night people associate with warmth, family, and love. But for me, that Christmas became the darkest night of my life. On Christmas night, my own son almost killed me. Before we begin, a huge thank you to all of you. We've officially hit 100 subscribers. It's a small milestone, but a big deal for us. And now our eyes are set on the 1,000 subscribers goal. To help us get there, please hit the like button, subscribe so you never miss a story, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from and how you're doing. Your support truly encourages us and keeps this channel going now. Let's jump into the story. Christmas is supposed to be about love, family, and forgiveness. Lights on the tree, warm food on the table, smiles that come from the heart. But for me, Christmas became the night my life almost ended. My name is Dorothy. I'm 69 years old, and for over 40 years, my entire world revolved around one person, my son, Thomas. I adopted Thomas when he was just 2 years old. His biological parents died in a tragic accident, and from the moment I held him, I promised myself I would give him everything, and I did. I worked double shifts. I lived a simple life. I saved every dollar for his education, his future, his happiness. I never married. I never complained. Being his mother was enough. But after Thomas married Laura, things changed. Slowly at first. Fewer calls, shorter visits, cold looks from his wife. Laura often said I was too involved or a burden. Still, I stayed quiet. I believed a mother's love could fix anything. On Christmas Eve, there was a knock on my door. Outside sat a beautifully wrapped gift, gold paper, red ribbon, perfectly placed. Inside was a luxury box of handmade chocolates. They looked expensive, perfect, almost too perfect. A small card rested on top. "Merry Christmas, Mom. Love, Thomas." My eyes filled with tears. For the first time in months, my son had remembered me. I thought maybe Christmas had softened his heart. But I've always been someone who puts others first. I told myself I didn't need the chocolates. My grandchildren loved sweets. Sharing felt like the right thing to do. So, instead of eating even one piece, I carefully rewrapped the box and drove to Thomas's house. Laura opened the door. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. When I handed her the chocolates and explained they were from Thomas, her face changed for just a second. It wasn't joy, it was fear. She thanked me quickly and took the box. She didn't invite me inside. That night, I went to bed believing I had done something kind. Early the next morning, my phone rang. It was Thomas. His voice sounded tense. "Mom, did you eat the chocolates?" I said softly. "No, I gave them to Laura and the kids." There was a long silence. Then he shouted, panicked and desperate, "You did what?" And in that moment, my heart knew something was terribly wrong. Because just a few hours later, I would receive a phone call that would expose the most horrifying truth of my life. After Thomas hung up the phone, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the Christmas lights, blinking softly on my wall. My hands were shaking. His reaction didn't make sense. He wasn't upset like a son whose gift had been shared. He sounded terrified, like a man who had just lost control of something he had planned carefully. I tried calling him back. No answer. The house felt colder than before. Outside, families were laughing, exchanging gifts, living their Christmas joy. Inside, my heart was racing with fear. A few hours later, my phone rang again. This time, it was Laura. Her voice was weak and trembling. "Dorothy, the kids are in the hospital." My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" I whispered. "They got sick," she said. "After eating the chocolates, they started vomiting, shaking. We rushed them to the ER. I felt dizzy. I had to grab the edge of the table to stay standing. "The chocolates," I repeated. "The Christmas chocolates." "Yes," she said, almost crying. "The doctors say it looks like poisoning. They took blood samples. Something is very wrong." The room spun. Those chocolates had been meant for me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my grandchildren lying in hospital beds, pale and weak. I replayed Thomas's voice in my head over and over. Did you eat the chocolates? Are you sure? Not even one. By morning, fear had turned into suspicion. On Christmas Day, Laura called me again. Her voice was lower now, careful, as if someone might be listening. The doctors confirmed it, she whispered. There was poison in the chocolates. I felt my legs give out, and I sat down hard on the couch. What kind of poison? I asked, barely able to speak. They said arsenic, she replied. Small doses. They said it could have looked like a heart attack in an older person. The truth hit me like a punch to the chest. The chocolates weren't an accident. They weren't spoiled. They were designed to kill. And they were meant for me. Everything suddenly made sense. Stamos's panic, his silence, his scream. He wasn't angry. He was afraid. Afraid that his plan had failed. Laura started crying. Dorothy, I think Thomas never wanted the kids to eat them. I closed my eyes. My chest felt tight. My own son had planned my death. As a Christmas gift, Thomas disappeared after that. He stopped answering calls. He didn't come home. The police were already asking questions, but I knew him too well. When he was scared, he ran. And there was only one place left where he would hide. My sister Natalie's house. And when I finally confronted my son face to face, he didn't deny what he'd done instead. He told me why he believed I deserved to die. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just grabbed my coat, my keys, and drove straight to my sister Natalie's house. Snow was falling softly, covering the streets, making everything look peaceful. But inside me, there was nothing but fear and heartbreak. Natalie opened the door slowly. The moment she saw my face, she knew. He's here, she whispered. He came late last night. He's in the living room. I walked past her without saying a word. Thomas was sitting on the couch, staring at the floor. He looked tired, unshaven, like a man who hadn't slept. When he looked up and saw me, his eyes hardened. There was no relief, no guilt, no shame. Why? I asked quietly. Why would you do this to me? On Christmas. He stood up suddenly, anger flashing across his face. Because I'm tired of waiting, he said. You just won't die. The words hit me harder than any slap. I raised you, I whispered. I gave you everything. And you still have everything? He snapped back. The house, the savings, all that money just sitting there while I struggle? My chest tightened. So, this was about money. Yes, he said without hesitation. I saw your bank statements last year. $200,000. You're almost 70. What do you need it for? I felt sick. And the chocolates? I asked. You poisoned them. He didn't deny it. They were supposed to be slow, he said coldly. Something that would look natural. A heart problem. No one would question it. I couldn't recognize my own son anymore. But I didn't eat them, I said. I gave them to your children. His face twisted in anger. That's your fault, he shouted. You always give things away. Always acting like a saint. I stared at him, shaking. You almost killed your own children. They weren't supposed to eat them, he replied. The chocolates were for you. At that moment, Laura appeared in the doorway. She had heard everything. Her face was pale, her hands trembling. How could you? She cried. They're your kids. Thomas turned away from her. It was a mistake. That was the moment Laura stepped back. Her eyes filling with tears, not just from fear, but from disgust. I felt something inside me finally break. You're not my son anymore, I said quietly. He laughed. You won't do anything. You never do. I turned around and walked out. That night, alone in my house, I cried harder than I ever had. But when the tears stopped, something else took their place. Strength. Because my son thought I would stay silent, but the next morning, I made a decision that would change all of our lives forever. I didn't sleep that night. I sat by the window, watching the Christmas lights glow on the houses across the street. For years, those lights had made me feel warm and safe. Now they felt distant, almost unreal. My whole life had been about protecting Thomas, making excuses for him, forgiving him, shielding him from consequences. But that night, I finally understood something painful. My love had not saved him. It had enabled him. Early the next morning, I made a phone call I never thought I would make. I called my lawyer. His name was Stanley. He had helped me with my will and my finances for years. When I told him everything, the chocolates, the poison, Thomas's confession, he went quiet. "Dorothy," he said slowly, "this is attempted murder." For the first time in my life, I didn't argue. I didn't say, "He didn't mean it." I didn't try to protect my son. "I know," I replied, "and I'm done protecting him." With Laura's cooperation, the hospital reports, and my statement, the truth came out quickly. The doctors confirmed the poison. The police took the case seriously, especially because children had been harmed. Thomas tried to disappear, but fear makes people careless. He was arrested 3 days after Christmas. Seeing him in handcuffs broke something in me, but it also healed something. The illusion was gone. The denial was gone. What remained was reality. Laura filed for divorce soon after. She took the children and moved in with her sister. I helped her when I could. Not because she asked, but because those children deserved safety, love, and honesty. As for me, I made changes. I rewrote my will. I protected my assets. I sold the house that held too many painful memories and moved into a small, quiet apartment closer to the city. I cut my hair short, donated old clothes, and slowly learned what it felt like to live without fear. When Thomas's trial began, I was asked if I wanted to speak. I stood in the courtroom, my voice calm but firm. "You tried to kill me," I said, "not because I failed you, but because you believed my life was worth less than money. Today, I choose myself." He was found guilty. The sentence didn't bring me joy, but it brought me peace. Because for the first time in decades, I was no longer living for someone else. I was living for me. But what happened after the trial, the lesson I learned, and the message I share with other parents, changed my life even more than the verdict ever could. The courtroom was quiet when it was finally over. I walked outside alone, the cold winter air hitting my face. Christmas decorations were still hanging in the street. Wreaths, red bows. Life had moved on, even though mine had been torn apart and stitched back together in ways I never expected. For a long time, I felt ashamed. Ashamed that my own son had tried to kill me. Ashamed that I hadn't seen the signs sooner. Ashamed that I had loved him so blindly. But slowly, I learned something important. What happened was not my fault. I spent years asking myself where I went wrong as a mother. Was I too soft? Too giving? Too trusting? The truth is, love is not a crime. Sacrifice is not a weakness. But loving someone does not mean allowing them to destroy you. That Christmas taught me the hardest lesson of my life. Sometimes, the person who hurts you the most is the one you raised, protected, and trusted the most. After the trial, I started over in small ways. I created routines that belonged only to me: morning walks, quiet coffee, books I never had time to read. I joined a local support group for older parents who had been mistreated or abandoned by their families. Listening to their stories made me realize I wasn't alone. I also stayed close to my grandchildren. They healed faster than I expected. Children are stronger than we think when they are surrounded by honesty and love. Seeing them laugh again helped heal parts of me I thought were gone forever. Every Christmas now, I do something different. I don't host big dinners. I don't force smiles. I don't pretend everything is fine just to keep peace. Instead, I light a single candle. It reminds me that I survived. My son tried to end my life on Christmas. Instead, that Christmas gave me a new one. If you're listening to this and you feel like a burden to your family, if you feel invisible, unwanted, or afraid, please hear me clearly. Your life has value. You deserve safety. You deserve respect. You deserve to choose yourself. Sometimes, walking away is not failure. It is survival. And sometimes, the bravest gift you can give yourself is the decision to live. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. You never know whose life you might help save. If this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story so more people remember. No matter how old you are, it's never too late to stand up for yourself.